When I first heard about it, it first became real to us. My immediate reaction was like, here we go, like this is it. I'm Carlo, and I'm an ER tech. In ER tech, we're really the support staff for the nurses. We're there to take off whatever load we can off of their shoulders and make sure that the ER continues running smoothly. So within our scope of practice, we are certified EMTs. A big task is for us to draw labs or take EKGs, or we work very closely with the orthopedic patients, so it'll be splinting, dressing wounds and stuff like that. So we really act as support staff to keep the ER running smoothly and keep the stress of the nurses as manageable as possible. We're all gearing up the same. Any staff, whether it's physician, nurse, any type of support staff, if you go in a room, you're donning and doffing the same way. And that definitely took some getting used to at the beginning. At first, it seemed like kind of a chore, but everyone's gotten used to it at this point. Some of it's frustrating. I know for some of the nurses, especially when they finally get out and they taken everything off, and a call light goes on, and they have to go right back in and throw everything back on. But for the most part, it's not. It's become second nature, to me at least. It hasn't become a chore. You remember how stealthy this virus is, and you hear about it all the time. So it's kind of ingrained in the back of my head that this is important. We worked up that patient for a while, but she was a rule out. But that patient did expire. And the nurse and I were responsible for basically getting the body ready for the morgue and taking the body downstairs. So that was a full process of donning everything and not doing it like a normal task. It had to be full precautions. And this was the nurse's first time doing that also. And going into it, she pulled me aside and she was like, hey, this is my first one. I'm still kind of I don't like seeing dead bodies. So she's like, hey, just keep talking to me through this. So that was definitely a pretty big bonding experience for us of not only talking my coworker and my friend through this, but also the fear that I have no idea what this person expired from, and we're doing it with all the respect and the dignity that we can, and getting this body downstairs. This has definitely affected my personal life in unexpected but good ways, I wowould say. Obviously the big one for everyone, we haven't seen loved ones in a long time. And that's probably the biggest one. My family has stayed healthy throughout this whole thing. So I moved back to Palmdale after college. So I'm back home with my parents. And my dad is in remission with leukemia. So he was the one that I was really worried about. I was thinking about living out of my truck for a little bit, just because I didn't want him to get sick. And I kind of went through that with my parents. My parents really didn't want me to live out of my truck. They wanted me to stay home and just be careful. But we kind of designated kind of a plan, if anybody in the house starts becoming symptomatic, they'll stay in my parents' bedroom. Then we'll kind of just use that as our isolation room in our house. But luckily, I've become a stickler for keeping all of my things as sterile as possible. So I think it's been working. Nobody's sick. So I'm really glad. It's definitely good news that nobody gotten sick at the house. And then as far as my profession, absolutely not. I've not considered anything else. First of all, this is something that, especially because of how rare it is, nobody really, when you get into the medical field, this can happen in theory, but it never really does. But honestly, this is what you signed up for when you chose this career. And I've talked to a few of the nurses about this, and I've talked to some of the providers about this. And A majority of us, I would say, are really excited about this, me especially. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm living through history right now, and I'm going to be able to tell my kids sometime down the road, like I was working in ER like during that, and so I'm really excited. I'm taking in everything. I'm taking in all the emotions, all of the chaos, all of the fear. In regards to the virus, I would say there's a lot more that we don't know about this virus than what we actually do know. So with that being said, I personally would like to be on the safer side and use more precautions rather than less, just because we don't know anything about this virus, essentially. This has definitely changed me by reinforcing my cleanliness and making sure that I'm always washing my hands. I sterilize my phone and like my steering wheel and stuff like that just every day. And like my shoes that I wear at work, they don't touch anything essentially. And then on a personal level, I've definitely grown a lot from this mentally. I've learned after this that like you can't take these interactions with your family and with your friends for granted, and all the times that you just decided to stay in because you were feeling lazy or something, like you really regret those now. So it's definitely changed my perspective in terms of making the most of the time that you have with your friends and your loved ones. We're screening every single person who walks through the hospital doors. And the community has been very understanding about no visitors for the most part, especially for patients or family members that they're really concerned about. They understand that like we're enforcing these rules for the health of the community. So that's been something that's definitely caught me off guard, because I was expecting to have to get in some arguments to keep people out, but everyone's been really understanding, which has been super nice. There is a lot that I believe can come out of this, especially on a personal level. I would just recommend that people don't take this, like I said, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I would call it, and I don't let this opportunity go to waste. You're spending a lot of time, all of us are spending a lot of time at home alone. Take that opportunity to do some self-searching, and take that opportunity to really figure out what your passions are and what you miss and what you don't miss, and come out of this when everyone's allowed back out, and come out as more comfortable with yourself and more comfortable with the world, I guess.